Okay, so good evening to you all. Very, very quick announcement. I just want to say that last time I did this video earlier on, I didn't say good evening to our Facebook support supporters. So shout out to anybody who's watching this over on Facebook. Right. So the title of this video is what is the title of this video? Can't remember what the title of the video is. Yeah, Deontay Wilder missing in action. Good. Let's talk about it. I think I did in a previous video breaking down and talking about Deontay Wilder and his steps to what he needs to do to become heavyweight champion of the world again, or at least give himself the best shot of becoming heavyweight champion of the world. You see, the thing is this. Yeah, yes, Lawrence, I didn't do, I was meant to do this video, and as I signed out, I thought, oh, I forgot to do this video, and it's on my mind, so I'll do it now. If you remember back when Deontay Wilder lost the belt to Tyson Fury, I said, you know what? Now that you've tasted defeat, now that you have been stopped, now's the time for you to get off the merry-go-round and take stock of your career and how fortunate you've been to be a world champion for as long as you've been, and be grateful that you've been a world champion for as long as you've been, and gracious in defeat. We can talk about glove gate, costume gate, bare knuckle gate, all we want, but I don't want to use that to distract what this is. Yes, Samuel, and yes, Lawrence. I'm going to touch both those things in a minute. So I said to myself, I'm going to do a video on this before Wilder, before people start to think that I could see what was going to happen. So I said I'd do a video beforehand before things were put in place. So one of the things I said was Deontay Wilder needs to seek help and mentorship. George Foreman needs to go and have a conversation with. I said he needs to talk to Big George and talk about the fact that when he got beat by Muhammad Ali and how embarrassed he felt getting beat by Muhammad Ali. Even talk about the Jimmy Young experience as well. Talk about those experiences. Particularly the Muhammad Ali one where he got beat by Ali and he was world champion and he was a wrecking machine knocking everybody out. And he was going expecting to knock Ali out as well. So that's kind of similar thing here with Wilder. With the knockout ratio and feeling you can knock everybody out and you're unstoppable, and you kind of begin to believe your own hype. And even if you don't begin to believe your own hype, your team, if they're not grounded, they begin to believe their own hype. If your trainer isn't a well-established trainer who has produced champion after champion after champion, what can happen here is, you get somewhere, you become a this ride's going well. I'm good. Yeah, we're good. we don't need to change anything because we're winning. Even the Lewis Ortiz fight, the first fight, we were right. But people have been talking for ages about Deontay Wilder and his technical flaws. We knew he was a big puncher. We knew that he had flaws, but before he fought Fury, he was going to blow Fury out of there. And, in the rematch, I thought he was going to knock Fury out, and Fury proved us all wrong. So I said he needs to talk to George Foreman, but not get trained by George Foreman. I said he also needs to talk to someone like Thomas Hearns, another guy who's got a great right hand and a good jab. So Foreman and Hearns, talk to both of those guys. They'd be great. But actually bring in a new trainer, a new set of eyes. I said the next thing Deontay Wilder needs to do is shut stuff down. Come off of social media. Clean up your camp. If anybody you don't trust in your camp, get them out of camp. Anybody you don't trust, get them out of camp. And I don't mean trust by telling you what to do, the best things for you, your career. I don't mean like that. I'm talking about people that you know are just in it for the money, in it for the ride, but have no loyalty to you. So Deontay Wilder going off social media, thank God. I don't want to hear no more about Glovegate, Costume Gate, or any other gate. He's gone completely off. So when Wilder fought Luis Ortiz, I spoke to Errol Spence's trainer and Jamal Charlo's trainer, Derek James, and I asked him then, and I said to him, look, you were talking back then about wanting to train Deontay Wilder and remodel him. He said, yeah, I wanted to train Wilder and remodel him. And then I asked him again afterwards, like I talked to Derek James about 2 weeks ago. I asked him the same question. He said to me, no, well, yeah, that would be nice, but I think he's got a new trainer coming in. So the talk of a head trainer coming in, so I believe they do need help in that camp. It's absolutely important. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing about the gloves, I'm going to leave it for this minute because I really want to focus. I want the focus to be on why I believe he's gone quiet. Now, there are people across social media who have an agenda. We know who they are. And they will tell you things like, oh, Wilder doesn't want the third fight. And Wilder's gone quiet because he's not sure if he wants to fight. No. Wilder's gone quiet now because he's probably been advised by veterans. You know what? Come off of social media. Keep yourself quiet. Go into the back and get to work. And I said that what Wilder needs to do, he needs to go into war mode like Marvin Hagler and train like the old school fighters used to do. No Instagram, no social media, no videos, into camp and lock yourself away. And the only time people see you is at the press conference and fight night. That's it. And you lock that camp down. So no Fury spies coming in and do that. Lock that camp down. Lock it off. Lock it off completely. And all the fans that say, Wilder can't change, Wilder can't do this, Wilder can't do that. Let them talk. Because they're fickle. Because if Wilder comes back and he blows Fury away, I wonder if they're going to turn around and call Wilder one of the greatest fighters of all time. Because at the moment, the agenda is that Fury is the greatest fighter. He's even greater than Muhammad Ali. He's this, he's that. So I hope if Wilder is able to rectify this situation with Fury, that people will give him the plaudits. Because I don't want to hear no excuses, should that be the case. So let's take this back a bit. So I do believe there's going to be a lead coach. So there's your question I've answered there. Yes, Samuel. Yes, Lawrence. How do you feel about Malik Scott being the new lead trainer going into the trilogy? No. Oh my God. I thought you said, no, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my good Lord. All right, well, I screwed that one up. Well, if Malik Scott is the lead trainer, I sincerely hope he isn't. Because I don't think, with all due respect to Malik Scott, as much as he might be a very good trainer or a promising trainer and has been around most heavyweight camps, I'm not convinced that he's the guy to get the job done. I do believe there needs to be a head coach in there, and if they've put it out as him being a head coach, then let that be the case. But I'd sneak in a proper or well-qualified guy that can do the job. You know, you've got guys like James Ellie Bashir, who's gone strangely quiet recently. I've not heard much from Uncle Bashir recently. Very quiet. But there's Uncle Bashir. There is Bobby Gets Cool. I want a guy that trains heavyweights and has done something with heavyweights. So again, Stacey McKinley would be one. James Ali Bashir would be two. But whoever the trainer is, Tommy Brooks would be a good trainer for. Tommy Brooks is one that people don't talk about, but Tommy Brooks would be very good for Wilder too. Tommy Brooks has got extensive experience with training heavyweights, has worked with some legendary fighters. Tommy Brooks would be excellent. Now, while Wilder's in camp, he has a distinct advantage, and a lot of people don't talk about this advantage. Yes, Fury's beaten him. People say, well, Fury beat him in the first fight and Fury beat him in the second fight. But if you look at the first fight and the second fight, the first fight Wilder went in, he thought he was going to knock Fury out, and he just had to catch him and knock him out. The second fight, and he felt he knocked Fury out. If you go into the fight and you think to yourself, you know what, at the count of that 12th round, that count was a long count, and you've got everyone in your head telling you that, and your trainer believes that, and everyone in your camp believes that, they believe all those excuses, then you know what, it's cool. So we're going to have the rematch. All I need to do is catch Fury again. If I just catch him again, so all I have to do is catch him. I just need to catch him. I just need to catch him. He'll go down, and this time I'll finish him off. This time I'll finish him off. So that's how your whole training camp sets up. I'm just going to knock him out this time. I'm just going to knock him out this time. That's going into the second fight. Fury went and made the adjustments. He said, well, what I was doing, Ben Davison, it does not cut the mustard. And he did whatever he had to do to get that win. And I'll leave it as that. This is where Wilder's got an advantage. This is a third fight. I don't believe there'll be a rematch after this. In two fights, Wilder's fought the same way. The same way, the same stance, the same sloppy way, the same mistakes he's made. Throwing the right hand the same way, off balance, chin up in the air, all these things, no defense. These things that he has been relying on for the whole of his career, because nobody's actually taken the time to say, you know what, bro, you could do this, you could do that, you could do that. Or nobody's been qualified enough to do it. He's got away with it because of that right hand. He's made a career around that. His whole style is based around that right hand and finding space for it. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic right hand, and his jab is pretty decent as well. And he's got people underestimate Wilder's IQ in terms of setting up shots to let that right hand go. People, he's just got a right hand, but he sets up that right hand, and how he sets that right hand up against guys like Luis Ortiz, who's a bogeyman in the division, one of the best boxers in the division, blah, Cuban boxer, blah, 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 blah. And he was able to set up that right hand beautifully in the second fight. And he was meant to be bigger, stronger, faster, and all the rest of it. But I just said he was an old man the first time, and he's even older in the second fight. So, where he can catch Fury by surprise is by being able to make the adjustments. I didn't think when Joshua got beat by Ruiz, he could make the adjustments. He did. I didn't think that Tyson Fury, by leaving Ben Davison and going to Sugar Hill, would be a great move. He made the adjustments, and we saw what happened. So why is it, if those two things have happened in recent times in heavyweight history, why is it Deontay Wilder can't make the adjustments and come back and be successful? So we all know the flaws. Oh yeah, he windmills. He goes off balance when he throws shots. Okay, he's wide open. He's got no defense. His footwork's atrocious. Okay, well, we all know he can punch, and we all know he's got the power to drop Fury. So let's say he could tighten up in some areas. I mean, I don't think Deontay Wilder's got the capability to come out and box like Muhammad Ali, and I don't think that would work. But if he's able to get onto the front foot, keep on the front foot, back Fury up, and be able to land that right hand, what he's got to learn to do, for me, is to be able to take charge and start off on the front foot against Fury and push Fury onto the back foot. And don't allow Fury to come onto the front foot and do what Fury did. Fury boxed the best of his career in that fight. That was the best I've ever seen Tyson Fury fight. Technically, the way he set himself up, he's never looked that good in his whole career. Even when he fought Klitschko, he didn't look that good technically. I'm not talking about the gloves or anything else. just technically. But that was the worst Wilder looked. That was the worst I've seen Wilder look. That was the most exhausted I've seen Wilder look. That was the most disjointed I've seen Wilder look. That was the most uncoordinated I've seen Wilder look. So is that a mix of what Fury was able to do to make him feel off balance, and Wilder's inability to fight off the back foot? These things need to be considered. So Fury goes into the third fight with the first fight and the second fight in his mind, and his team have got the first fight and the second fight in their mind, and then they've got to estimate what Wilder can do to make those adjustments, unless they get a fly on the wall and actually study what Wilder's doing. Unless they've got a mole in Wilder's camp. But literally, I would shut the whole camp down. Shut the camp down. You understand? And monitor people's phone calls and emails a lot. I'd lock the whole camp down so they can't talk. There's nobody can talk to Fury. Do you understand? You've got to lock that camp down and work on things. You've got between now or whenever it was till November or December when the fight is. So there's time to work on things. And don't tell me he can't make adjustments. Don't tell me he can't make adjustments. And with a world-class trainer, yes, he can do it. But A, is Deontay Wilder prepared to listen to a new trainer and have the respect for that trainer to not want to do things his own way? Because if you've been doing things your own way for all your career, who are you now as a trainer to come in and tell me what to do? There are fighters who've got that mentality. Lennox was able to come back because he was wanting to listen and he wanted to learn. Joshua wanted to listen and wanted to learn. We had to, or else he was going to get knocked out again. He's an investment. He's a brand. Now Wilder has to do the same thing. The Three Kings. Can Wilder make the adjustments? No matter what the fans think and what I think, can he make the adjustments with a world-class trainer? Somebody who's been there. What Wilder needs is somebody who's been to the promised land. He don't need somebody who's never seen the promised land before, not even in their own boxing career. He needs somebody at this point who has seen the promised land. Me personally, if you're going to bring a trainer in, I would have, if I was going to have a trainer, I'd bring Hasim Rahman in. Why Hasim Rahman? He's been there. He knows what it's like to be heavyweight champion of the world. And he's doing a damn good job of Hunter. And Rahman's got what it takes mentally. Hasim Rahman. In fact, Hasim Rahman would be now thinking about Bashir, thinking about Stacey McKinley. Rahman would be my number one guy for Wilder, because he brings something different. He's been heavyweight champion of the world. He's a damn good trainer, and I've interviewed Rahman recently, and he's mentally very strong. Very, very, very strong. And that can only rub off on someone like Deontay Wilder. So someone like Hasim Rahman would be perfect. Because Rahman's very cocksure of himself, heavyweight champion of the world, and truly believed in himself when nobody else believed in him. He knows what that is like. He's been there. As a fighter, he's been there. He knows what it's like to have his back against the wall. He knows what it's like to not be backed by anyone. He knows what it's like to be going into the ring, not the favourite. He knows those things, so he can pass that on to someone like Deontay Wilder. Those other guys are good trainers, very good trainers, but none of those guys have been world championship boxers, and that's what gives Rahman the edge, I think, in training someone like Deontay Wilder. He's been there, he's seen it. He's fought a Hall of Fame fighter. He's fought a few Hall of Fame fighters, and he's been world champion. So talking to Lennox would be good for Wilder. No, I don't think. I don't think Lennox would be as good an advisor as Rahman. I just don't. That's just me. Fury punched a dent in Wilder's head. That Bob. That's what you guess. We will see when Wilder opens up about it. We can stop talking about it. But Fury's gloves were obviously tampered with. Power doesn't just appear. Indeed. I hope it's not Malik Scott. He's a professional sparring partner. Buddy McGirt. No, I don't know about Buddy McGirt. Not sure. Glovegate, not worth discussing. Glovegate is an agenda in itself, of course. If I lost to Tyson Fury, I'd be beyond ashamed. I wouldn't believe it, says Bob Saunders. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, bring these comments up. Hold on. Wilder's built for explosive striking. He's not built to be anything else but a KO artist. Okay. Hot Wilder watching this, or someone in his camp. He could use a change of scenery and an experienced trainer working with him with veterans. Yes. Wilder just needs average skills to beat Fury and combinations. Interesting. Bud McGirt, Derek James. I'm going to add Hassan Rahman to that mix. Evening, Vinda. I hope you're well. Derek James is super overrated. Yeah, really? I don't know where you can get that from. Super overrated. Don't know about that bit. Do people honestly believe Wilder looked normal in that fight? No, he didn't. I said it myself in commentary. Wilder's best chance is to go full out and try and finish Fury early. Get into the swinging brawl and hope to land. Playing a waiting game in Fury won't work, but he can KO Fury his only chance. Go out swinging would be reckless against a guy who can counter like Fury. But you do have to put pressure on Fury. You need to back Fury up from the start. But going out reckless will be terrible. Wilder's going to end Fury's career. There's every possibility he could. Wilder's been out boxing up football Wilder. Yes. I swear this guy don't listen. Ruben, you just don't listen. The first two fights have been in Fury's favour because Wilder's not made the adjustments. This third fight, he has to make adjustments. Fury made the adjustments in the second fight. Fury saw Wilder the first time, made adjustments the second time, and he's adjusted to Wilder to go to set up a brilliant strategy with Sugar Hill. However, in this third fight, well, we'll see. Fury looks like Frosty the Snowman. Okay. Wilder only had puncher's chance, and after two fights, that's clear to see. Probably hard to give Wilder 5 rounds between two fights. Yeah, that's why you're not a boxing trainer. That's definitely why you're not a boxing trainer. I think Fury deserves a crutch anyway. He's trash. All heavyweights suck. Open your eyes. Tyson outboxing up for Ruben. What a technical display versus the guy on one leg. Thank you very much. There is zero chance Fury comes forward in that trilogy. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying to you. I guess what goes around comes around. It's what he gets for cherry picking Fury. Bob Saunders, are you serious? The only reason he even had to look at Fury's cheating ass is because AJ wouldn't take 50 million. There we go. It's got nothing to do with AJ's handlers. And his handlers, Barry Hearn, did not want that fight. But let's go back to this situation here. Let's talk about this situation here. And I want to talk seriously about Wilder's chances. Because in my mindset, it's like a game of soccer. I play you the first time. I come into the game. My team come the first time to play you, my football team. And we think, yeah, that's all right. We're going to bash you. We'll do you. We'll score 5 past you. And the game ends up going. The game ends up being a draw. You know, you scored the goals you said you were going to score, but they were better than you thought they were. But you still felt that you won. You won the game, but you felt you won the game. They felt they won the game. Okay, it's a 5-5 draw, but you feel there was some offside decisions that didn't go in your favor, and all the rest. We won that game, so you go away. You go back to your team, you come back for the rematch, and you think, the referee is crap, and you're just full of excuses. So your training camp set around excuses. Whereas the other team will go back and say, you know what, we should never have let those goals in. We can be tighter and we can beat this team. If we're tighter and they have a strategy, we can beat this team. So here comes the rematch. Bring the football team back. We're in our heads, the referee has changed. Oh yeah, Different, we'll be all right now. We'll go and play the football match again. This time we get spanked. We can't score the goals we usually do because the defenders are shutting us down faster. They're countering us and scoring goals. Different game. That team did their research. That team did their homework. So now you're going to the third match. Team have seen you twice. Now you come to the third thing. It's down to you now to change the script. It's down for you now to change the script. So Wilder has an advantage over Fury. Why? Because if Wilder beats Fury in this fight, there's no full fight. That's it. And then nobody's going to want to watch Fury fight Joshua. People's going to clamour for Joshua versus Wilder. So we're back on it again. We're back on it again. So Wilder has the advantage because he's fought Fury twice, and in the two fights he didn't make adjustments. First time he was too arrogant and believed he was going to blow Fury out, and he just, I'm champion of the world. I've had X amount of defenses of my title. Fury's, he's been overweight. He's come back he's just come back. He had two fights against nobody. I'll blow him out. I'll get him out of there. And he knocked Fury down twice in a fight. It's like, oh yeah, okay. This time in the rematch, I'll come back and beat him. And then you turn up, roll up heavier. You roll up ready to go. And Fury spanks you. For much of a better word. Again, glove gate, costume gate, and all the rest of it aside. Technically, you got spanked. So you need to go back and think, well, okay, if there really was a glove gate issue, then you really don't want to jeopardize that because, let's be honest. When Mike Tyson fought Evander Holyfield in rematch, Mike turned around to his trainer and said that Holyfield was on substances. He was on PEDs. But rather than go to the board and risk $35 million down the drain, he fought Holyfield. He says, well, if I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. I'm still getting $35 million. That's what Stacey McKinley told me. Ray Mercer, when he fought Tommy Morrison, knew he was on PEDs. He knew. But that was a fight. That was a breakout fight for Ray Mercer. So what did he do? Did he go and tell the board, oh, yeah? You know what I mean? And now this situation with Glovegate, I think Wilder needs to keep it quiet and just get this fight on. Let me hear what people have got to say. Wilder looked at him as fresh meat after his 3-year layoff and got what he deserved in the first fight. He thought it would be an easy pick like 44-year-old Ortiz or complacent Stavern. I would love to see Wilder get to that body attack. I do. Close that stance some and throw a bit more. Close ranks completely, like Ingram said. Bring in some new eyes and listen hard. That's it. That's how heavyweight champions end up. We learn. History repeats itself. If anyone's got any clue of heavyweight history, those who've come back to become champions have learnt from their mistakes and come back. It's only these casual clowns that are out there that are talking, it's not impossible for him to win. We've seen of recent times guys who have turned the tables in the heavyweight division. We saw Joshua box one way and box another way we didn't think he could do. Even though, he beat Ruiz. We saw Fury fight one way against Wilder and then technically fight completely different when under Sugar Hill. Technically. So why can't Wilder make the adjustments? When you hate somebody so much, you've got so much hate for somebody, and a lot of these people out here are the biggest two-faced people out there. But let me tell you something now. If Muhammad Ali were alive today, and he were a boxer today, you'd be losing your minds. You'd be losing your minds. And Ali would be telling you about yourselves. If Mike Tyson was here today, some of you would be losing your minds. Because if you can't stand Wilder for him being the outspoken black man that he is, God help you if Ali was around today. You would have lost your nut. You would have lost your nut. You lost your nut. You lost your head. Ali was hated back then. Ali was hated back then because he spoke out, was political, and said things, and he loved his people, and he didn't sell himself out. You think Ali today, Ali would have spoke out, and you can't take Wilder for what he's saying. I'm not comparing Deontay Wilder with Muhammad Ali. What I'm saying to you is that the way he talks, and he's a man who's aware of his history, and when a man speaks about his history the way he does and talks about it, people have a problem with it. That's what I hate Wilder. But some of the stuff Wilder's done, other people have done the same thing, and people say it's all right, it's okay. But if Wilder does it, it's a problem. But we know the agenda already, and we know how the media works as it is. Who can we pick out of Wilder's resume, or any of these heavyweights' resumes, for that matter, that are just stunners? They all have padded records. That's easy to say, mate. I disagree with you. That's easy to say. Because Lennox Lewis never fought Chris Bird, never fought Michael Moorer. Okay? So there's that there. You know? And then none of them fought Ike, because the president got put away, but none of them wanted to touch Ike. Lennox Lewis fought Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson when they were past it. So really, if you want to go there, we can go there. When did Mike Tyson? When did Lennox Lewis fight Mike Tyson? When did Lennox Lewis fight Evander Holyfield? When they were old men. At least with Holyfield, he fought Bo, fresh Riddick Bowe. You understand? So if you want to talk about padded records, and Lennox Lewis, the great Lennox Lewis, then he got knocked out by two guys, Nassim Rahman and Oliver McCall. Well, Oliver McCall ain't gonna be no Hall of Famer. So you can go and judge resumes all you want. We can rip fights to shreds if you want to. We can rip any fight, but this is not. I don't want to go down that road and have that conversation, because I think it's very. It's what's this sort of mentality is what's ruined the sport of boxing. And the sooner this mentality about going to people's resumes and ripping people's resumes is put to one side, that's why UFC at this point in time is far more entertaining to watch, far more entertaining to listen to, and far more of a better fan-friendly atmosphere. Boxing has been taken over by people that in mindset who want to rip fighters' resumes apart and say this guy's that. You know what I mean? But I like UFC. The guys fight the best of the best, and even when a guy's got 100 losses on the record, they're still going to say, "Oh, you know, he can come back and he can win. You know, he's got great heart, great determination, good feet. You know, he's got good power. He can knock you out of either hand." Every guy's a great fighter that goes in. Every woman that goes in is a great woman fighter. But with us, you know, he would never beaten Ali, or he would never beaten Tyson, or you know, it's his last. He gets knocked out. Oh yeah, it's the end of the road, and the guy's only 25 years old. It's you know, it just turns my stomach sometimes. If that's your stance, I'm not arguing for you, but don't be surprised to see Fury get out of this fight. Bob, you can go and judge resumes. I know that fight was as rigged as a high school play. Well, that we have history. I've mentioned this before about this Wilder fight with Fury. We have history that will tell us that the famous Marciano record is being. Anybody gets close to that Marciano record or looks like he's going to threaten that Marciano record is shut down. They did it to Larry Holmes. They did it to Mike Tyson. Lennox did it to himself. Holyfield did it to himself. So, you know, Wilder was on that track to go after that Marciano record. And the way the sort of things Wilder stands for and the way it was being, no, they didn't want that. That shut Wilder down. So, you know, These are the underdogs, though. Wilder was champ. He'd have no reason to lodge an official complaint if he thought gloves were tampered with. The fact he hasn't shows it's an excuse not even made by Wilder. Well. Hello, casual clowns. You had the same opinion of AJ Ruiz before rematch. I swear you don't listen to what I say. I swear you don't listen. I said, again, Ruben, you see, this is what happens when people have got agendas to try and catch you out. I said at the top of the show, I said, we've seen AJ, because I said that Ruiz was going to absolutely tonk Ruiz was going to absolutely tonk AJ in the rematch. And AJ showed us something different. Credit there. Tyson, I thought Tyson was going to get absolutely rinsed by Wilder. We saw it there. So I used the 2 fights and said, what can we learn from these 2 fights? And I said, the thing we can learn from these 2 fights is this, that fighters can make adjustments. So we give leeway for Wilder to make adjustments. What are you talking about, Ruben Guerrero? Be patient, my son. Slow is the way. A lot more yet to come out. Boxing, guys in boxing don't fight the best. They're always looking for fighting 14 or 15. Now, what are you talking about, Bob Sanders? What has this got to do with? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking. I've got no clue what you're talking about, son. Because you've got 2 of the best fighters in the world fighting against one another. So what the hell you're talking about? I don't know. I don't got a clue what you're talking about, mate. What nothing, mate. Maybe you need to hop on another channel where they're talking about something else. I'm talking about Deontay Wilder, and I'll go back to the Deontay Wilder conversation because we've just been distracted by some absolutely out there conversation. So back to my point. I think that Wilder being in camp and settling down. Hold on. I just heard Uncle Bashir thinks that he don't think AJ beats. He doesn't think that Pulev beats AJ. But he didn't think he didn't think that Ruiz was going to beat AJ, and I told him I was blue in the face that Ruiz was going to beat AJ. But that's neither here nor there. So back to this point here. Can Wilder make the adjustments? Sure, yes, he can make the adjustments. Will Fury be ready to make the adjustments? If Wilder can make the adjustments, can Fury? If that style, let's say we've got the Fury style with the hands behind the back, I don't think we're going to see that again. I think we'll see more of what the Sugar Hill done. If he employs Sugar Hill again, I think that's what we'll see again of Fury for the 3rd fight. If he still keeps Sugar Hill in camp with Andy Lee, I think that's what they're going to use for the 3rd fight. But somehow the gloves are taped around the waist, then inspected immediately after the fight. Is Fury a magician now? How did he remove his gloves during the fight? I don't know. I don't want to talk about the gloves. So let's talk, coach. Let's talk about this technically. So it's important that Wilder has in his team 3 things. See, I would employ Hasim Rahman. There is a thing that people can do unscrupulous things for all the time called money. Have you seen money before? Yeah. Coach Chris, let's get off that thing about the gloves. I don't want to talk about the gloves. Let's talk about this. What are your thoughts about Hasim Rahman being the trainer of Deontay Wilder for this fight? For example, I thought Sugar Hill retired. I don't know. Did he retire? I don't know. Did he retire? I don't know. Don't know if he did retire. I don't know. It's a good time to retire though. But someone like Hasim Rahman would make a great trainer for Wilder. I asked how he's supposed to have done it. So what Wilder needs in camp, sports psychologist, Definitely needs a sports psychologist. He needs to cut the crap about the dent in the head, the costume, all the excuses. He needs to get them out of the head. And then he needs to make Fury into being the greatest thing since sliced bread. And his focus, his one and only focus, has got to be, I want my belts back. Hassim would be good. Someone with world level heavyweight experience, of course. I'd like to see it. I think he'd get along with Hassim. They're similar in a lot of ways. That's what I'm saying to you. They've got that same sort of alpha male sort of behavior about them. But I think in terms of mental strength, I think that Hassim is mentally stronger than Wilder. I actually believe that Fury, for those two fights, had a mental edge over Wilder. He had a mental edge over Wilder. Fury will say whatever he's got to say to get the edge up on you. You listen to Fury, people are not watching this, but Fury's been talking to Joshua for so long. He's been winding Joshua up for ages. Picking up the phone, calling Joshua, telling him how he's going to beat him, he's going to knock him out. He's been talking to Joshua for ages. That's how Fury gets into the mind of these fighters. He beats you before you get in the ring. That's how he beats you before you get in the ring. That's how he beats you psychologically. So a guy like Hassim Ratman would be able to help someone like Wilder. But I don't want to hear no nonsense about no Malik Scott being his trainer. No. I don't want nobody. I wouldn't want anybody training Deontay Wilder who didn't have heavyweight experience. And the only reason why I give Hassim the edge is just to be a little younger than guys like Stacey McKinley and Ali Bashir. And I think they'd bond real well, real quick, because a bit more youthful in that sense, closer to Wilder's age. And also the fact that he's been there, he's done it, so he can command that respect. And he beat Lennox Lewis, you understand? He beat the heavyweight champion of the world. So definitely needs to go back to his roots. I'd like to see him go back to no costume, just the mask. You know, he already been talking to George Foreman. They were talking right after. Well, yeah, that's what I said. And when I said it on this channel, I said you need to talk to George Foreman, but don't get trained by George Foreman. Talk to George Foreman. Do not get trained by George Foreman. But talk to George. Get that experience from George. But then I'd love to see Hassim get the job. If I can't get Hassim, I wouldn't go Buddy McGirt. I would like somebody who's going to mentor. If I can't get Hassim, then I want somebody who can mentor. Tommy Brooks is another guy I'd like to look at as well. Tommy Brooks is another guy. I saw what Tommy Brooks was doing with David Price. I like Tommy Brooks. Tommy Brooks is an experienced guy. He's been there, seen, he's done it. What Wilder needs is a Klitschko-like camp. He needs to set his camp up like Klitschko. And I don't see that in Wilder's camp. Wilder's camp looks like it's in a garage. That's what his camps look like. They always look like, when you see him, he looks like he's in a garage, a DIY garage. That's what he looks like. He needs to be in a proper camp. Do you mean locked away up in the mountains? That sort of shit. Locked away in Big Bear, something like that. Preparing. That's what Wilder needs. Fury is right. Fury went and did what he had to do. Wilder needs to do the same thing. In fact, Bashir would be perfect to counter what Sugar Hill was imparting into. And that's another reason why an experienced person like Bashir should be in the corner. So that if there were any tricks, then both Diaz and Mark Breland fell for those tricks. If it is the case that there was glove gate and this gate and that gate, then Breland and the head coach both need to get sacked. They both need to go. Not just Breland. They both need to get sacked. Because you've got an experienced trainer there that shouldn't let... First of all, an experienced trainer would not have allowed Wilder to go walking out with that costume on. That's the first thing. The first thing he would say, no, sorry. Forget that costume. Forget that costume. So we wouldn't have the costume right there. That's when you think you got it in the bag. Forget the costume. I'd like to see him more old school presence around him. Some OGs that can see the tricks coming. That's what. See, you're reading my mind right here. He needs OGs in that camp who know all the tricks that are being played. Who know. See, people who are cheats and people who are underhanded, they move the same way all the time for the most part. There's a pattern with people, right? So if there's any slippery judging and slippery reffing and slippery underhanded stuff, these OGs are going to see them and know who they are. And if this OG don't know, there's always another OG that knows what's going on. There's always an OG that knows what's going on. They'll know what camp to go to. They'll know who to talk to. The OG would know who in your camp's a rat. The OG would know you walk in your camp and just know he's a rat and he's a rat. The OG would rat out people in the camp straight away and say, listen, this is what I want of you. This is the strategy. Laser focused. I see Wilder in camp do some nonsense in camp where he's throwing punches and spinning around like a ballerina. I'm like, what? That's not gonna that stuff don't fly in the fight. That stuff's gonna get you knocked out. And doing crazy stuff, pushing down weights. That's crazy stuff. Stuff that is not even right, not healthy. And all these injuries that Wilder keeps getting, you kind of wonder to yourself, what kind of training camps is this guy going in? What kind of nonsense is he doing in camp to keep getting injured all the time? So you also ask yourself the question, are Diaz and Breland really... Breland is a former world champion, great. That's nice. But does that mean because he's a former world champion in a lighter weight division, that's going to work for Wilder? And because we know he's had flaws from the start. Wilder definitely needs not to be as comfortable. No. This camp needs to be hell. He needs to have hell. He needs to have hell in camp. Do you understand? Guys who would I bring for sparring for Deontay Wilder against if I had my way? I would have a Jack Barron for sparring. Definitely have a Jack Barron for sparring. FA Jagba. Joe Joyce, I'd have him for sparring. Just to mix things up. Bit of time with Dubois, I'd have him in for sparring. Different things. The big, strong, physical guy for that. Cheney, I'd have him in for sparring. So I want guys in that are young guys as well. There was a guy who had sparring before who's maybe similar to Tyson Fury in the way he was able to switch from one to the other. But in the end of the day, I'd have that and have that guy that stands straight up now and boxes like how Fury boxed. Because I don't know if Fury can do. He can be very he can clown around and waste time. And then you have what he had the other day when we saw him fight in the second fight, which is more laser focused. There was less clown around, very laser focused. So yeah, he definitely needs Wilder focus. So let's hope he gets that focus in, because really what we really want is the best Deontay Wilder coming out for this third fight. No excuses. War. We need to have him the best Deontay Wilder ever in this last fight to see if he can become a two-time heavyweight champion in the world. We want the best possible Tyson Fury as well. And if we have the best possible fighters fighting on that night, then that's all boxing fans could ask for, and that's what you want. So I just hope that Wilder heeds the advice, which I'm sure OG Foreman would have given him. Another guy who would have been a good person to talk to would have been Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir Klitschko actually wouldn't be bad for sparring either. To be honest, I wouldn't mind having Vlad sparring. The jab, the know-how around the ring, footwork. Yeah, Vlad's nice. Yeah, Vlad's nice. Wilder versus Joshua or White would be good to see. It would be. Hello, BG London. You bring up a good point. I'm wondering if his camp is a bit naive and pony, as you say. Where's the coaching? Where's the strength and conditioning, nutrition? Well, have you seen what Wilder was doing? His training camps have been garbage. If you really look at Wilder's training camps, they've been absolute garbage. I mean, for example, there was one video of Wilder, and he was I think it was in the rematch for the Stavern fight, and he was pulling down these weights. I was like, you don't do that with weights. No wonder you're getting injuries all the time. And there was one sparring session where he was not inspiring. He was like, do you remember when they were doing? Okay, let me take you back when he was. I think he was doing some step overs and stuff like he was a footballer. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? If that's how you're preparing to fight Tyson Fury, no wonder you got yourself in so much trouble. You know, and even when that sparring session where he had against what's the heavyweight now? Herkovich. I mean, he was sparring against Herkovich, but who was his trainer at the time? I mean, what was his trainer saying to that sparring session? I didn't hear the trainer say anything to Wilder. I didn't say mix anything up, change anything up, change your levels, change your jab. Nothing. I didn't hear anything. Yeah, for a while, I think he was only hitting the mitts and sparring. Yeah, so there are a lot of things I'd like to see change, but alas, it'll be down to Deontay Wilder to make those changes. Ultimately, he's got to admit change is necessary. He's got to admit that what I've got in camp ain't good enough. He's got to admit, look, I ain't good enough. Let me rephrase that. I haven't been good enough in the last 2 fights. It's been unacceptable, and it cannot happen again. And if you complain about Glovegate, and you complain about this, and you complain about that, look to your team. Look to your team. If you had some OGs in there who knew heavyweight boxing, and if you had a proper mentor around you, who would have told you you're messing with history. You are messing with history. Marciano is 49-0. You're messing with history. If you knocked out Tyson Fury that night, if you'd gone out and blasted Fury out of there, then the only man would have been left would have been Anthony Joshua for heavyweight supremacy. I don't trust Wilder's team preparing him for his third fight. This is what I'm saying to you. I don't trust them. I'm sitting here. I don't rate Diaz. Jay Diaz. I don't rate him. I do not rate him whatsoever. And I don't think Mark Breeden's a good fit. Yeah, all right. Breeden came in and stopped the fight. Yeah, he did what he should have done as a coach. But that doesn't mean because he did that, he should be in the camp and be a trainer. It doesn't mean he should be a trainer. Breland and Diaz both need to leave. They both need to go. Because I've seen development in Wilder, but I don't see the focus he needs to have that a world-class trainer would bring with Wilder. And it's not about Wilder having his camp, setting up his camp. It's about his trainer who's got another set of eyes, an OG overseeing and saying, listen, champ, I need you working that jab more. I need you to stop backing up to ropes with your chin in the air. I need you to keep on balance when you're throwing them shots. I need you to stop overreaching. And then when he's in camp, to have somebody who's sparring with him, a nice, good, clean counter puncher, that every time he overcompensates, pow, hits him. Yeah, hold that one. That's how sparring and training. I remember when I was in camp, that's what it was about. When you get into camp, that's how you prepare. You ain't going in camp and it's a holiday camp. You ain't going in camp and telling your trainer, this is how I want this run and this is how I want that. No, 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 no. You shut up. You turn up, you train, you give me 100%. You understand? You turn 100%. I'll pick the sparring partners for you. You don't tell me who the sparring partners are. I'll pick the sparring partners for you. I'll make sure your strength and conditioning is right. I'll make sure that this team is right because I'm going to war. I need soldiers. I don't need snakes. I'm going to war. Let me in camp with Deontay Wilder. You give me camp with Deontay Wilder. Going to war. You understand? I want them belts back. I want that belt back. I want that belt back. I'm not asking nobody on Twitter or Facebook for an opinion. I'm not asking anybody on any member of media. They didn't give me that belt, right? And then you understand. So it's not about that. We're going to war, so we need to tool up appropriately. We're going to war. We need to have the right equipment. We need to have the right captain of the ship. Do you understand? We need to make sure we've got the right game plan. We need to look at this from every angle. And you as the fighter need to be sitting back. Jay Diaz has shown he's not that guy. He shouldn't even manage. He shouldn't even manage. He should be nowhere near Deontay Wilder. No, they both got to go. Period. Gone. No hanging on. Gone. Thank you very much. Thank you for the era. The ride was good. The ride was good up to the Tyson Fury fight. Goodbye. Fury has made you unemployed. Brilliant and Diaz, you get your P45. Goodbye. Goodbye. Because neither Breland nor Diaz is capable of winning the heavyweight championship of the world by themselves. So they can go. Bye. No loyalty in that situation. Thank you very much. Get a golden handshake and get out. Thank you. We'll see you. So we'll see you in the audience sometime. We can fist bump. I'll take you out for a meal afterwards. You can have anything you want off the menu once I get the heavyweight championship of the world again. You understand? But you guys got to go. The pair of you got to go because obviously there's disagreement in camp, and I ain't got time for that drama. So both of you go. Gone. Bam. Bring an OG in. You can have time where George Foreman comes into camp. Or you go and have a meal, and George will turn up, and you sit down and have a meal with George after you've had a long, hard workout. You've had your soak. You go and you have a meal, and George is there. George Foreman's there. And you sit down having a meal with George, and he's talking to you about his experiences, stuff like that. You understand? That's the kind of guy that I'd be talking with. The OGs, sit down and talk to him about boxing and the history of boxing. Talk about fights and what Ali was like and what he felt like when he fought Ali and them sort of things. Sit down and let him talk about that. Talk about life, what it means to be heavyweight champion of the world, what it felt like being champion, what it means like now to what it would feel like becoming champion again, what that belt would feel like. Do you understand? Take the focus off of all these other things, trying to prove it to your friends and being looking good on social media or having a quick answer for the media. Forget them. Focus on the fight. Like a sniper, that's what you want to be. That's the sort of focus you have to have. And only that sort of focus is going to get Deontay Wilder back his belts. Nothing else is going to get him back his belts. He has to have that sort of militant attitude. That's the only way he becomes heavyweight champion of the world again. He's not going to do it doing it his way. And I suspect he's got away with a lot of stuff doing it his way. And Diaz and Breland have allowed him to get away with the nonsense. Because when you're heavyweight champion, I'm the champ, man. I'm the champ. BG London says, Horse Stone, get out of here, you muppet. If Ingram saw your racist comments, he would block you. Well, I don't see him anyway. Oh, he's back, is he? Yeah. Well, wait. I don't. Is he even in the? Is he in the room? I don't know. These guys, pain in their mind. The same old people. So, yeah, but like I said, that's what he needs to do. He needs to get himself in camp and train, and he needs to focus, shut himself away, and focus on becoming champion of the world. That's it. That's it. That's what it's about. Mohamed Arif says Wilder's going to knock Fury out. BG, how are you able to see? How are you able to see the comments? I mean, the guy's been blocked off the channel anyway a long time ago. So I don't know what comments he's making. I don't care what comments he makes. Insignificant to me. Don't mean nothing. So you have a good point. They should move on. He needs fresh eyes and get back to basics. Yeah. Well, it's not even basics. He doesn't want to get back to basics. I would disagree with you there, coach. Basics is what he's been using. He needs to go beyond basics. He is basic at the moment. He needs to go to the advanced classes. I mean, this guy's a bronze medalist at the Olympics. This guy's a bronze medalist at the Olympics. You don't give out bronze medals for fun. This guy's a bronze medalist. You know what I mean? So I wish Deontay all the very best. And I wish Tyson Fury all the very best. Because ultimately, we want the best fights, the best fight in the best. And in the heavyweight division, we just want to find out who truly is the best heavyweight in the world. You know? So, I think I've done here. Thank you so much, as always. Really appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching. And to the haters, keep on hating. Thing is, your hate makes me even work even harder. You know, I got to thank you. We're closing in on 3 million views on this channel. We're closing on 3 million views on the other channel. Our work has been seen around the world in every single newspaper. We are thankful and grateful for all we do. So, without the hate, to be fair, BG London, without the haters, you know, their energy is good because, you know, it makes you work harder, push harder, and do even more. But I just work smart now, bro. You know what I mean? So, on other channels, bro, he's notorious with race. I know, yeah, but I know. I've been on this. I've been on this. I've been doing this over 10 years now, my friend. So, it's nothing they can say, to be honest, that's going to bother me in the slightest. I'm still here. Ali says, Wilder not the same, but Fury will win again. Well, you know, I'll say this much to you. If you make the same mistakes that we've made so far with Joshua, because nobody would have thought that Fury was able to make those adjustments. I will say this much. I'm not sure if you can prepare for what you don't expect. Just think about that. You can't prepare for what you don't expect. You can't prepare for what you don't expect. And Fury is able to prepare for what he expected. And that was key. When you've got an OG in camp, all them tricks that Fury in his camp, Fury is no mug. He talks a lot of rubbish. Fury is no mug. He's one of the smartest guys in boxing, and he understands the history of boxing. You understand, Dane? You can laugh all you want about John Fury when he kicks off, but John knows his boxing. The Furies know their boxing. One thing about the Furies, they know their boxing. They know their history of the boxing. The casuals that you know, they don't understand boxing, but Fury understands boxing. They understand boxing. No, Furies understand their boxing. You understand? You can't prepare for what you don't know about. So if Wilder keeps himself an enigma for this next fight, and he has some OGs around him, that Fury stuff ain't gonna work. But if he does the same old with Jay Diaz, whom I don't trust, and Mark Breland, who I don't think is doing much for Wilder, to be honest. Yes, I know what he did, but I don't think none of those guys are going to give Wilder the sort of focus that an OG would give him. But ultimately, my final thing is, Deontay Wilder has to admit to himself, I've come up short twice. It's unacceptable. The third fight, I have to do better. I have to get that title back. Right, I'm out of here. Thank you all so much for listening. As always, this is BWTM Sports Gaming. And I need to do some gaming tonight, actually. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. They have some high-level cheaters then. Hey, you know what? If that is the case, you got to give them credit. You got to give them credit. By any means necessary. One great man said, by any means necessary. So they did what they have to do. Let's hope that Wilder can do things by any means necessary too. I bloody well hope not. Malik Scott has been in everybody's training camp. He's been in everyone's training camp. If you watch, he's been in Dillian White's training camp. He's from Dillian White. I've seen him come out with numerous fighters. And no disrespect to Malik Scott, I wouldn't trust him either. I've seen Malik Scott bounce from camp to camp to camp to camp. And he's a porn star now as well. From what I understand, Malik Scott is a porn star. No. Out of camp. Sorry, no. Him and Malik Scott are good friends. No, I don't want you in camp. Stand from the outside. I'll give you a VIP ticket. No, I'll give you a ticket to watch the fight. Come through the turnstiles, bro. You're not coming to training camp. No. That's that. No. No. Forget. Yeah, you know. No. If Deontay Wilder does that, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. Have a good evening, everybody. Take care.